This week's episode is brought to you by Not That California Brewery and the Rock Bottom Bar, an independent craft brewery based in the small town of California, Falkirk, who produce a wide range of craft beers. The brewery's tap room, the Rock Bottom, is located in the heart of Falkirk, and it's the only live music and craft beer bar in town. 28 taps, 18 of them are guest lines which change weekly. Live music every Saturday and most Fridays. The link is in the bio of this episode. And listen in to hear our beers of the week pouring at the Rock Bottom.
Hello and welcome to another weekly episode of the Beer Fridge Podcast. On this week's episode, why so serious?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to another weekly episode of the Beer Fridge Podcast, your home of real beer, real breweries, real opinions. As always, wherever you listen to this episode, make sure you subscribe, hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling to be notified of every single episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please do the same as well. You can show your support by giving us a 5-star rating, and you can show your official support by heading to patreon.com/Beer Fridge Podcast. My name is Gavin. I've got my drinking friends. I've got Scott and I've got Callum. Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good eve.
Hello. Let's kick off as we normally do. Go around the virtual table and see what we're drinking to kick things off.
Let's go around the table.
Yep, go then, Muir. What you got, Sam?
I am drinking a thirst quencher for obvious reasons, and I have decided to go for Glasgow's favourite brewery, and it's West, and it's Firebrand.
No Firebrand.
No Firebrand, no. But Firebrand. I can get things into English, mate. Go on. It's all right. That's quenching the old thirst.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's very. It's probably I think it's definitely their tastiest lager, other than maybe sits just slightly in front of Wild West. But their best beer still Edelweiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
By some considerable margin.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it renamed as the Vim and Vigor Pills. I was there on Friday with my dad, and we sunk maybe 5 or 6 pints each over the course of some Scottish/Spanish tapas, which was excellent. It goes down really easily. Poured on draft, it's not too gassy at all. It's pretty pleasant to drink.
Well, I did the
very, very good.
I did the old hard pour into the big tumbler, 440ml can into the big tumbler, plenty of room for the foam, and it definitely softens it up and takes away that sort of unpleasant gassiness that you get a lot with sort of big macro lagers.
Good stuff. I am on one of my Bruiser boxes. I've got Stung, and poor me ended up with 2. I know.
Lies.
presented the area to be stung, I would imagine.
Indeed. Oh, I forgot.
What a shame.
Howling Hops was one of the breweries, and I'm on their number 4, which is a part of the single hop series. So single hop pale number 4, Centennial, 4.8%.
Who's that? That's no Captain Caveman on the front of that, is it?
No, it does kind of look like him though. I can see where you're getting the vibes, Faye. I mean, there's a reference
things, isn't it?
Captain Caveman's a reference.
Captain Caveman, there he is.
But no, you're getting that little bit of kind of citrusy, bit of pininess on it as well. There's a slight bit of dry backbone, maybe a hint of bitterness. But again, it's one of those things we've mentioned numerous times where single hop beers are a lot of fun because then you can find the hops that you enjoy, and you want to find in these kind of double dry hopped or various other dippers and stuff. So no, I'm enjoying it. It is good stuff. The box so far has been ridiculously good. I'm kind of like
crying out for a blind taste in that. Like,
aye, no, 100%.
You know, somebody to pour them into different tumblers and see if you can identify the hop.
There's that. There's El
Buy me some mild dip.
There's two other ones in the single hop thingy bobbin that they've got, but no, it's good stuff. The box is cracking. The STF box as well is also pretty shit hot as well. Poor me.
Indeed.
Gilroy.
I am having, so I got duration through my randomizer pick for Bruiser this month. Not upset at all. This is Turtles All the Way Down, which is part of their core range. It's kind of pretty well renowned or well known UK wide. It's Brewer's Choice Awards, Beer of the Year 2021, Best American Pale Ale at the Lux Life Food and Drink Awards in 2021, and kind of pretty well reviewed all the way around. It was part of the 250 top beers in bottle and can for Camera in 2022. It's a 5.5% IPA. I would say it's incredibly well balanced. It has on the can packaging, it's saying it's supposed to have a rounded body with soft bitterness, and I would say that pretty much describes it. The bitterness isn't overpowering, and as you get through it, it blends quite nicely with the kind of soft tropical notes, but without being too sickly or sweet. It's Hallertau Blanc and Mosaic dry hopped, so it's really, really good. Their house yeast, and it's just an excellent, well-rounded beer, a perfectly pleasant starter. Excellent.
Good stuff. Good
Would
stuff.
drink again copiously, which
Excellent.
is recommendation of the highest order.
Of the highest indeed. Before we get stuck into new news, obviously we are doing the 10k hop run of Dirty Events, brought to you by Stuart Brewing. So we're going to be there doing the 10k. Fuck it, worst idea ever. But we are raising money for MS and the and Rolling Centre. So make sure you head over to the Instagram page, use the link, and you can head over to the Just Giving page where you can support us. So make sure you go and head over there, and appreciate people that have already done so. Much appreciated. I know.
Thank you.
Cost of living and all that jazz. So we appreciate every single penny. And every single penny is going there. We're getting none of it. No tab. No tab at Stuart. Right, let's get into some proper new news, I should say, and see what's happening around the beer world.
News update.
Right, hype train, as always, this season. Everyone's trying to get their hype beers out and build up the hype as well. One that we thoroughly enjoy, and we've mentioned it, I think I mentioned it last week and maybe the week before. This Friday, the 28th, Pressure Drop Alligator Tugboat is released. So make sure you get on it. Make sure you don't miss out. It's probably, I would say, I prefer it to putty. I would rather have Alligator Tugboat than putty if I had to pick one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
So head over Instagram pages as well for Pressure Drop's Instagram pages, not ours, because we're not going to tell you the tap list, but Pressure Drop will tell you the tap list of where the beer is getting tapped. I think it's only going to be in one place in Scotland. I want to say the wee beer shop. There might be two places, but go to their Instagram page and you get the full list of wherever you are in the country, and you can see where you can get it on keg, which will be fantastic. I'd love to do that myself, actually. Come think about it. I might have to source somewhere. I'll give you guys another minute or so. You can Google away, and I'll tell you guys about. So last week's podcast, we mentioned about Johnny and the team at the Craft Beer Channel doing Keep Cask Alive. That's the word I'm looking for. And incidentally, St. Austell Brewing are launching 5 limited edition beers throughout the year, 5 cask beers, and they're all going to be kind of movie themed. So on March 1st, so a couple of weeks' time, you're going to get a beer called Sharp Bait, which is going to be a 3.9% session pale. March 6th, Out of Time, a 4.3% golden ale. June 30th will be the Breakfast Club, a 4.5% golden ale. And then the back end of the year, we're getting, on the 1st of September, we're getting Maverick, 4.5% American Pale. And then to finish off the year, November 17th, Jingle All the Way, a 4.1% Amber Pale. Love the idea of these limited releases. Let's slowly build the hype throughout the year. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And I think it's a kudos to St. Austell, who make really good cast stuff anyway, to kind of try this limited edition, try and make their own hype for casks. So look forward to trying these. Should be a little bit of fun.
Indeed.
Initial thoughts, like the idea?
Yeah. St. Austell getting in the news a wee bit there. Also, been in the news in the last couple of days. Getting a group of female brewers and women from the industry in to brew their own ale as well, which is quite exciting. Obviously, we've had a women's brew and various different other people on the podcast championing that side of things, which is always good.
Indeed it is. Anything you want to shout out, Gilroy?
Yes. So it's this week. So if you're planning, what will that be? Trips to the pub this weekend or towards the latter end of this week. James Clay, in conjunction with Visit Flanders, are doing a UK Belgian Beer Week. It starts this week. There's a few pubs on there. I'll obviously shout out the Scottish ones because they're the ones that might rock up at it. But it's a kind of basically intended, obviously, point out that Flanders and places like that where very good Belgian beer started and still exists. Obviously, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away to the UK by train. It's easy to get to. Just makes you all the more tempted to go beer touristing to a great extent. But this gives you a wee trial if you're in the kind of rough area. So Vest or Mala will be at the Salt Horse. I've seen some pictures of that already. That looks incredible. It's also the same beer. That's for the 25th. You've got the Old Toll in Glasgow's also got the same beer on the 26th. And then you've got Shock Horror. You'll be surprised at this. That Cool Shipyard have got Boone on. If there's a place you're going to put Boone in Scotland, it'll be there, right? And then there's a few other. There's also Shoof on at Phillies, which would be a good beer. You've got, Shock Horror. England gets its fair share of super good stuff. Like there's St Bernardus is on at the Head of Steam, which is super annoying. DuPont at the Portcullis in Bristol. Delirium, obviously making its appearance in a few places. Tamworth, places like that. LS10 at the Rake in London, and fucking annoying again. And Castile into places as well. Manchester.
Send me that list. I might have some overnights today with work over the next couple of
hours. Well, it's always up there. Duchesse de Bourgogne is making it favourite beers in Cheltenham. There we go.
I've got some.
Yes, plenty of places this week for you to try some really, really good Belgian beer. If you're local or even somewhere close to you on that, I would go and have it. Delirium in particular, West Mala, anything on that list as well worth having. Go and try it. Belgian Beer Week with Visit Flanders.
Nice stuff.
No Ned, the place.
As in
he's easy enough visitors. Yes.
Exactly. Cal, anything yourself apart from what you just mentioned?
Well, I did notice a nice story where the king poured his own pint. But this time, instead of it being a brewery, a local brewery down the road brewing Madry, like it was for Prince William, this was the Tower Brewery in Burton upon Trent. So he poured himself a nice pint of Gone for a Button, and had a slurp as he put it. So that was nice. But yeah, the one story that I've sort of picked up there due to my furious Googling was now. We've oft mentioned on this podcast about the dire state of affairs in Northern Ireland in terms of their licensing and the restrictions therein. Now, if there's a problem with drink, it always pays to get the Scots in to sort it out. And I'm delighted to see that an independent review of the liquor licensing system in Northern Ireland, carried out by a team from the University of Stirling, no less. Exactly. That's why I had to read it out. So they've concluded that it restricts competition and risks stifling innovation in the market, which is exactly what we said all those years ago when we had Bullhouse on. And
so we've pronounced that everywhere can have a license and pints of diesel are £1.
Yes, exactly. So basically, the policy in Northern Ireland is basically it's called the surrender policy, and you know. Listen,
there's a line there.
There is a line. There is a line. There's an open goal, in fact, which I'm not going to kick the ball into. Basically,
There'll be none of that.
In order for a new business to acquire a license, it requires an existing business to surrender their license. So that basically means there's a restriction on the number of licenses that are permitted. So unless an old business is going to surrender their license, then the new business can't get on. And
there's a local Burn Supper whose ticketing policy runs along similar lines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But unfortunately, this means that the raft of independent local craft brewers in Northern Ireland can't ply their trade locally to their own area, because the majority of the licenses, 99% in fact, of the beer sold in Northern Ireland is imported, which is a real shame. And yeah, the licenses are owned by the
usual suspects.
pub chains, the usual suspects of the world, and therefore the door is closed firmly on the face of the local brewers. Which is so. Hopefully, this is going to put a rocket up the arse of the establishment in Northern Ireland and get them to reform the state of affairs there. So watch this space.
Excellent stuff. Indeed. Our good drinking friend Marcus Hobbs has joined us.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. You probably heard the taste of China gong when he arrived.
100%.
What are we drinking?
Well, as I was running in the door, and I know what we've got planned, I thought I would just pick up a West Coast starter. This is alcohol-free West Coast Pale at 0.5% from Below Brew, and it's Azaka. It's a West Coast Pale. So when you read the packaging on the back, West Coast Pale, on the front it just says West Coast, and then it has West Coast Pale in the finest writing at the bottom of it. So I lifted it thinking, yes, I'm going to get a cheeky alcohol-free West Coast here, to kind of wet the palate as we move on for our little joke later. And I thought the hot bill, and it's not overly West Coast, Azaka, Citra, Econaut, and Simcoe. So
none of the C's.
No.
Hardly any C's.
Put it this way: it's a nice alcohol-free pale ale. It's wet. It's cold. It's got all the flavour you want. But it's no West Coast. So
it's a glass of Ribena.
It's going to get canned pretty quickly. Nah, Ribena's for. I was going to say something else there, but Ribena is just. You get on the Coca-Cola if you're going to drink Ribena. But if you want beer, drink non-alcoholic beer. It's all right. It's wet enough to get me on to what we're going to do next, basically.
I'll tell you what. Talking about alcohol-free beers, I think I had.
You did a bit of a jaunt, didn't you?
I did. You reminded me, so I appreciate that. Went down to Beak at the weekend, and main reason was to obviously try the Beak, Track, and Rivington collaboration triangles, which we mentioned on last week's podcast. Tasting absolutely amazing. Fucking brilliant beer, superb beer. If you get a chance to get it, 100% try it. An absolute banging dipper. I would love. I genuinely think if we put that side by side with Putty, I know I'm shitting on Putty here again in this podcast. That's twice already. I reckon that would smash it out of the park. With triangles. But yes, so because I was only having the one beer, and then I was going to drive. The wife was wanting a couple of beers, so I said I would drive, and I had plenty of stuff in the fridge for when we got back. So I tried a collaboration with Beak and people called We Can Be Friends. And it was an alcohol-free NEPA. Wasn't expecting much from it, but fucking Christ, it was absolutely amazing. Citra, Idaho 7, Motueka, and Mosaic. It was hazy, it was juicy. You were getting the hop aroma from it, and it didn't feel like wishy-washy and proper like pish water. Nice lacing on the glass as well, like lemon and lime kind of mojito vibes to it as well, nice and citrusy. Oh, absolutely stupidly good beer for an alcohol-free one. To the point where it's one of those ones when we say that we like mash gang and stuff, where you're like, oh, you can't tell the difference between an alcohol and a non-alcoholic beer. That was in that category where you just couldn't tell the difference. Somebody would hand that to you, and you just assume it was like a 4.5% alcohol beer. So hats off to those guys, because that is really good, really, really good. I'm not going to drink loads of it. I'd rather have alcohol stuff, but
like you say, for those places like say Beaks and stuff that are kind of not near anywhere really.
Yeah.
Do you know, if you're the unfortunate soul that's having to drive, then that's great that you can get something really, really nice to
to
drink.
be honest, it was perfect. And then kind of other end of the spectrum was driving back home, and that I'm again lucky to have Gun Brewery very close to me, so we stopped in there, and they had an alcohol-free beer. That was shit. That goes back to what what we first say about alcohol-free beers. It's just wishy-washy. It tastes like pish. It's called tea. That was fucking that. So I didn't enjoy that. So in fairness, my standards were set pretty high after that Beak non-alcoholic version, but that was
So
the
the brewery is going to do it. You know, like you talk about like standards and with tier breweries all the time. Like Beak are up there, and if you're going to get, I had a discussion with somebody about this like last week about alcohol free in general, and it was the whole lager versus pale ale, and I know many people drink pale ales, and I was like, but the craft beer connoisseur, or if that was a word, wanker, like, well, like a pale ale's like a really good indicator of how good a brewer is from a non-alcoholic point of view, because there's a body element to it. Like the lager is hard enough because it's like getting away from the, like you saying, the warty cold tea and all the usual bingo words. But like the lager can literally be, dare I say, sparkling water-esque, and you can pass it as alcohol-free lager. Whereas the pale ale or the pale or the NEPA, it's really difficult because like it's the body that makes most of these beers. Like the better the standard of the beer, you know, we always say that, like if you get the body of a 6% beer into a 3% beer, you're going to drink it all day. Like it's just like it's a no-brainer. So, and that was that conversation, and like, you know, Beak are renowned for like the body of their beer. Like it's not just the flavor they can get in there. It's like, you know, it is. So if it's like you're saying, it's hitting all the marks, and there's a time and a place for it for sure. And like, well, the Beak tap room's probably if you're going to have to drive to it, then fair play. So.
I mean, it's one of those titles. If it was a one-off visit and I'm never going to Beak again, 100% no drinking it, obviously. But I'm fortunate enough that I know I'll be there probably maybe next weekend. After having triangles, because it was superb. And you also reminded me.
Your life recently is just polyshite experiences, isn't it?
It's hellish.
Double boxes for Bruiser, visits to Beak. Awful. What an awful experience you're having.
Indeed. I've also reminded me another thing. MD, thank you once again. We have a new blog post up. Callum has been on the writing spree. So head over to Instagram page, get on the link tree, and you can head over to the blog page and you can have a read of that. What is in store for readers this time round?
Confidence must be high. confidence must be high because he didn't send it into his editor this time to have a look at it. So he's could be anything he's written. We never know.
Aye.
Quite a sophisticated piece if you read it. I was
Immediately, but I ken when Miguel reads it, he'll pick out the couple of wee things that I'm not too happy with.
Nah, see if there is a couple of things you've noticed them yourself, and your disappointment in yourself is
sufficient. Aye.
That's sufficient, more than sufficient.
So, thanks to Mark for letting me steal a canny putty when we were at Waxhouse for the Super Bowl, and I finally cracked it at the weekend, and I just felt the urge to.
That's crazy because Wack had the fucking serial number written down as well. It was part of the stock take, and it was supposed to be missing.
I had to wrestle the sausage dog on the way out to make sure I could keep it.
The garden.
No, I felt the need to write about it. So that's what the blog post is about. It's for those young kids out there that like the popular music. I've called my blog post Apate Apate. So I thought that was quite clever. But yeah, it's good. And
what a long commute! What a long commute on the hype train.
I noticed this morning, right? I've obviously got the podcast emails on my phone because I'm trying to keep the unread emails down, and we get notifications when we get new subscribers on Substack where the blogs get posted, and we've got a new subscriber from Wilmington, Delaware.
Aye.
Fully stand up.
Branching it.
He's commented 3 times already saying that's not how you spell colour.
Aye. It's aluminium. It's
aluminum.
Aluminum.
With 2 O's.
So yep.
Right,
head over to Substack or follow the links in the bio, etc. And you can hear my take on putty.
Indeed. Good stuff. And link will also be in the description of this podcast. Right, before we start doing Joker, some jokes. Let's do a wee bit of fun because, like we said, we're doing this 10K. We're all trying-ish to. It is a fair distance away, but our
it's fucking 10 kilometers.
With that, but in terms of when it starts, it's
only three
couple of
months, mate.
But also, what's also far away is our fitness.
Some further than others, as is about to be evidenced.
Cutting about the streets like a fucking Reebok advert.
Right. Can't afford Reeboks, mate.
Yeah,
somebody's coming to get you. Christ knows who. Could be an ambulance.
So let's have another episode of my new favourite segment.
What the Dunkel?
Need to get rid of that embed, Jesus Christ. And these videos are actually you won't find them on the internet. So if you're watching along, this is the prime time to if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, have a watch along, or if you listen on Spotify, you will also see the video here of Callum's adventures to his 10K.
Right, whose fucking idea was it to do a 10K trail run? Surely it wasn't mine. I've just ran for 4 minutes and I'm breathing out my hoop. This better get easier, by the way.
She's turned the wains against us. That's what I was thinking that whole time. She's turned the wains against us.
I wasn't in a good place.
Is she? Aye.
It gets better.
Excellent.
It gets better.
3 miles in. Seriously questioning my fucking life choices right now. Freezing cold. Raining. Wish I could be as happy as him.
You got pulled along by the dog for 3 miles. Is that what you're saying?
Honestly, mate, see the last 200 yards when I was running, I was like, the dog was like, come on, da.
Skate just out of shot.
Exactly. Yeah, good stuff. Well done, mate. It's
You did the hardest bit. You started.
That's it.
So The worst
Yeah.
it is now that you know how savage 3 miles is. You know you've got another 3 miles on top of that to go.
Aye.
I think that's my issue with it. I'm fairly comfortable that I could do the 5K. It's the 5K after that is scaring me. But I'm like, I'm not going to make this.
Aye, well, honestly, mind over matter.
Mm.
The 5, I agree with the 5K
It's on.
barrier thing. You just got to like, if there's 2 ways you do it. You build yourself into 5K, or you go, I'm doing 2K, 4K, 6K, 8K, 10K, and build it that way. Because the 5K barrier was always
Can you just see all 3 of us going, shut
2
up?
pints, 4 pints.
Going, nope.
2 pints, 4 pints, 6 pints, 8 pints, 10
I'm saying
pints.
fuck all,
That's
like,
a lot.
but, right.
We're like,
Well,
fuck.
now that I ken that lap that was just over 5K that I did. So now that I can think about doing a second lap.
No, that is savage for me, like, because like knowing finishing 5K and you're like getting to your house and then thinking, oh yeah, I'm only halfway there now. Like that for me, I'm just like, no way. I would rather run the 5K like one way out and then have to
Then
just
turn
bank
back.
it, come back.
Aye.
Because there's fuck all you can do unless you
Aye.
phone an Uber, I suppose. But
That's it.
No,
I'm
I
going to
think-
become
I'm a
home
fan.
of the set fair's best customer.
No, fucking my father hiding in the woods at Roslin with a quad bike. Hop in. In fairness, that's how I got through pedal to Scotland. I just got to Westfield and had a wee tea break along in the van for a mile while I swapped bikes. Feign
Excellent
a bike injury.
Oh.
Technical difficulties.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'll
have
need
you,
to stop at
have you,
5.
have you started
At
training
5K,
yet,
I've got
Gilroy?
a fucking puncture. I'm on week 3. Couch
Week
to
He's in the
baked
couch,
potato. Couch to
Oh,
baked
nice.
potato.
Nice.
Week
Then-
3 run 1 tomorrow morning, 6
Good
a.m.
effort, boys. What we should do is we should get a fucking Beer Fridge Strava account and get it fucking posted, and then we can have like all the Strava wanks give us kudos for like
Christ almighty.
that's how it
You'll be
always
like,
What
works.
even
the
is
fuck-
that?
They'll be like, what the fuck have you downloaded this app for?
No.
It sounds like it's an app where people post their runs and other people masturbate over them.
Aye, look, it's you're
Aye.
looking for.
The Strava, some of the Strava games, mental. Like I'm talking like there's like routes and maps and all that kind of stuff in the Strava, and so like for example, there's like a bonus one. There was an Armadale one. There was one like round Western Inchgill, and it was
Mhm.
like folk could go out and do the same run, and it would like time you, and it was like you get the
Oh no.
beating people's
Leaderboard and all that
lap
shit.
records and all that pish. Like I mean,
Can you imagine
Yeah,
listing that
after
in,
they're nicking round on their fucking electric scooter.
can you imagine putting that in your list of achievements? Like, oh, interview or something. Oh, what's something?
Best Strava time in the street.
there's a few Strava, like there was an account on like Instagram or TikTok and that, and it was like this British boy flew. He was obviously doing some work in America, and he was like, "While I'm here, I'm just going to try and beat some American Strava PBs," and would like look up routes and thingies in whatever town he was in, and it was like, right, this hill or this lap is X, right? I'm away, and he would like run it and time it, and then he would basically post like as soon as he'd done it, he would like hit the like when he posted it on the or via Strava or whatever, he would like have all the British flags being like, "We've dominated you again" or something like that, and like that would be his wee hanging in. But
Fucking hell.
What
Oh,
kind
right,
of drink
fuck.
exists, right?
Aye. We do.
That's shocking.
Mo Farah's came down in the world, I'll tell you that.
Cornless.
Aye, columnist indeed. And you want to do Joker?
Yep, let's crack some
Aye.
jokes.
Well, get to the main feature. 33
Main-
minutes.
Aye, well, we'd like to
So,
tease.
it's almost as if we've been padding until the full lineup's been available.
Almost.
That, by the way, padding my arse. Some
I
of the best content of the
Aye.
week thus far.
Exactly. Stupendous content.
News
Like,
cover. Beers covered,
Aye.
bruiser boxes covered. What more do you want?
exactly. Your home of everything. MD, you're gonna have to explain this here because you
Yeah.
made a visit and had a word with the gang and discovered there was 2 batches.
Well, you basically kind of summed it up perfectly without me going too far in depth. But basically, yeah, obviously Joker, double Joker, the double IPA from Williams Bros, 8.3%. The normal what was what I was told was there was a yeast strain difference. It was done as part of a batch by, dare I say, accident, and it was, oh well, basically what the interpretation I got was that the normal Joker IPA uses Nottingham yeast,
Mm-hmm.
double Joker uses.
Your can's got 2 different amounts in it, is it?
It's
That what you're showing us there? Sorry.
no, you're quite right. And I'm trying to find the other yeast strain. I think it's just this.
So this was a case of. So was it initially a mistake, or was it just a case of they thought they'd just mix it up?
Yeah, it was. I think it was. And
mistake.
obviously from a sales and that point of view, it's about making sure that like flavouring and things. It was one batch. I think it was just a can batch, to be honest. So like again, without getting anybody in any form of trouble or anything. But basically, when it was mentioned, I thought actually it's quite interesting because like the whole premise behind it will be it's US05 is the other the normal yeast to go with that. So, and I just said that I was like, it would actually be quite an interesting taste test to see one, you know,
You
if
sounded
it makes
like
any
your
difference.
brother there when you said that.
What was that?
You sounded like your brother there when you said that.
I sounded like my
A
brother.
taste test. A taste
Taste
test.
test.
Oh fuck. Well, I suppose he sounds like me, so I suppose that's.
So is
I don't know if that's a
is it
good thing or not.
Rubicon or is it?
So no, it's interesting stuff. Like you said, the weird thing is,
So I'm
breweries and
assuming
stuff,
the wee sign on the bottom of the cans denotes, or were you going to save that and tell us?
The N on the bottom is.
Have I cracked the code?
crack the code.
I'm assuming the N is for Nottingham then.
The N is for Nottingham, correct?
The sheriff of.
Yeah, indeedly
But-
did.
The interesting thing is, like, breweries are always changing the recipes anyway of beers.
No, totally. And it was
And
just
with Callum's first reaction and his second reaction means sounds like and smells like to me there might be a difference. There's a definite colour difference with your two, MD. Unless it's just a light.
I think it's like
Ah, it's just
I
a
think
light.
it's the light. There isn't that. I mean, the Nottingham one for me is definitely
Hold on.
got a touch Mary a cloud.
Shabam.
The standard one in this glass is definitely clearer than this one. Like, there's a slight opaqueness, and there is a slight orangey hue to the Nottingham yeast one.
Aye.
I'm not
I've
doing
always-
That's not here.
yours. Do you want yours?
You're not here. No, no.
Do you want yours? No.
I spoke to Mark about this at the weekend. I've always found the original Double Joker just to be that wee bit on the harsh side. It seems as if it was that phrase that we always used to use, that kind of chasing the ABV, you know, 8.3%. It felt like it was chasing that, and it was just boozy for booziness sake. And I'm still getting that on the original.
The OG.
I think it's lovely.
Is that your initial thoughts, Gil? It's lovely.
That's a beer. That's a beer you know you're drinking. In terms of I like the original is excellent.
Didn't get me wrong. It's been a long time since I've had it, and it's definitely it's like going back to the old Double Oregon Trail or the original Oregon Trail. It's not as bitter as I remember it because my palate's changed and improved. So it's definitely not as bitter and harsh as it was. The standard one, you're getting oranges for days, and that dry bitter almost West Coast vibe from the original. The Nottingham yeast one is really interesting. It's got a much more floral smell about it. I don't know what you guys think.
Gilroy, the MD's
You
full.
keep checking what one's
smelly
the fucking N one. Well, I'll tell you this for nothing. It smells like beer.
You're a
It
fan.
tastes completely different for me.
It does. I think it's slightly.
It's more
Sweeter.
orangey. It's sweeter. It's more orangey. You're still getting that bitter at the end. It feels like it's got more body to me.
It's less biscuity.
Aye, it's more fruity.
Like MD, you're staring like you're staring into space there, doing your best smelly
And perhaps more
impression.
citrus.
I think I agree with what Cam was saying originally. That I think the OG, I'm saying the OG, the USO5 is. I feel it's more creamy. Maybe the glass I've got it in too, because the tiny Rebel glass that I've got the other one in, I think that's got. It's holding the carbonation slightly better, but I feel like it's creamier. In terms of flavour, the vanilla for me comes through more that vanilla like American pale ale vibe, and the USO5, the Nottingham yeast does obviously it's a different beer, obviously, but for me the yeast comes through and it's slightly more carb. That one again, maybe the glass.
No,
but I feel like
mine's
it's
is the same, mate. Mine's is the same.
Is it? I feel like
two
it's
big
drier.
tumblers. I've got them in as well. So
I feel like it's drier. I feel like the yeast has a more pilsnery vibe. It has a dryness like that holds the bitterness to it that comes through, rather than the.
We get a full smelly experience here, didn't we?
Like I actually think I prefer the USO5 one because I feel like it's creamier. I feel like it isn't as.
Is that the OG one? Is that the?
It's the OG.
Yeah. So if we're picking Cal, OG, or the Nottingham variant, is it not? Aye.
No. But then the orange aspect of it comes through more with the Nottingham for me. Is that what you said, Cal?
aye, it's much more fruity.
It's fruitier, but I actually feel
almost spicy.
I feel like that one's boozier though. I think the 8% is far more apparent in that one than it is in the USO5 because it isn't as carved either. And whether that's to do with the yeast or not, it literally could be like again, depending on how it's written, it would have been carved at the same pressure. To be fair, but I feel like it's a smoother beer. In the
I would agree with that. 100%. It's definitely smoother with the USO5.
Double Joker. What's the strong?
It's a really close call. Which I would prefer.
But
I don't think either of them are a beer that I would continue to go back to. But I mean, I'm glad that I've tried this double again because, as I say, it's been a long time since I tried it, and I didn't like it the last time, and I do like it this time. So it's good that I've come back to it.
See, do you think for people that are regular-ish drinkers of Double Joker that they will taste the difference straight away?
100%. 100%. It's a different beer, mate.
If you drink it all the time,
it's a completely different beer.
It smells different as well. Like you get the old schnauzer in. Like I know there's a joke there. I know. Pee out a welly, mate. I get it. But like
we're not lowering ourselves tonight.
No.
That's 2 open goals I've missed tonight.
I mean, it's practically anaerobic up here in Bathgate, so The people at Boneheads must be toiling.
Gilroy, for yourself, if you have to pick one of the two as a preferred option.
I prefer the original. I think it's a nice twist. I think it definitely brings the oranginess out, but it just tastes more like a higher ABV, obviously kind of British style IPA vibes to it, which doesn't really lend itself to a high ABV, I don't think, incredibly well. It's more around about the 3-4% for those kind of yeast, whereas the US05 suits a.
I'd quite like to try original Joker with this Nottingham yeast.
Yes,
as you say, at that lower, or even on cask. I think original Joker on cask with this Nottingham yeast would be something to
quite cool.
try. So if only we knew somebody that had an in with Williams Bros and could pull some strings and get that sort of do it for us.
Right.
We could get. I mean, I quite like to try it. But then you're kind of taking a beat. Like you're taking the reason they've picked it is because the US05 is because of the beer they're brewing, and it suits it well, and it probably stands up to it. You're definitely taking it and turn what you've done there is add two things to it, or give a service suggestion that turns it, lowered the ABV and put it on cask, which totally allows a yeast profile like that with the things that it imparts to be in its best place, if you like. Whereas I think the reason they've picked it for the original recipe for Double Joker or is the US05, stands up to that. I was trying to have a wee look at Malt Miller to see the difference. Yeah.
Quite impressive that they've got a British yeast to get to 8.3%, to be perfectly honest.
Final thoughts, MD?
No, you know what I would like? I wouldn't mind a mix. Sorry, Mark. I wouldn't mind. Just I was thinking about it there. I remember seeing somebody put a video on the internet. Somebody got some Kvik thing gone absolutely fucking radio rental, and I'm just thinking, what about a bad batch of Double Joker with a Kvik yeast would be incredible. You tough it in about quarter of an hour.
Ferments in 25 minutes.
from boil to bottle in 15 minutes.
I'm going to call it Carlsberg, mate. It's fine. No, I think this sort of stuff's really important to like this. These errors probably occur in beers that we have drank on like hundreds of occasions, and because it's like Callum said, you're drinking this beer once every couple of weeks, a couple of months, or I was going to say every couple of weeks at best, but every couple of months, or maybe like once a year. So like realistically, like you'll never really know the difference. But it just shows you what we're talking about a key ingredient here as well. Do you know? And we're talking about a yeast strain that has, that one is predominantly used for, English style beers. It can be used in, barley wines and the usual porters and that more traditional style. The other one is designed to elevate hop aromas and things like that with the US 05. But it's just, to be honest, I think it's just a cool thing. And I think more breweries should shout about this and say, by the way, we're trying.
What it does is it showcases what yeast actually does and what the difference can be. I mean, because we all sing and shout about, the malt bill's fantastic or the hop bill's fantastic, but we don't. I mean, that's one thing that the very, very, very few cans will tell you what the yeast is. The cans are getting better at putting the hops in. They're not quite keeping pace in terms of the malts. There's some craft beers will tell you the malt bill and the hop bill, but it just goes to show that you can have all that information, but if you don't have the same yeast, the right yeast, it can make a massive, massive difference to what you're tasting at the end of the day.
Yeah. Two things. I assume they haven't had to change the label and stuff or anything like that at all.
Nah. No.
And then second thing is just to reiterate the Nottingham version is still like is still a decent beer though.
No, it's
Oh, very,
And like,
very drinkable.
like Mark
thing
said,
is,
I mean, I don't think
Can I
there's
just-
anybody
can I
out there
just-
that's drinking 2 or 3 cans of this a week. You know, there's nobody out there that's drinking it that often. So if
Yeah.
even, you know, if you're coming to this a couple of months or you know whatever after you've had your last one, you know, the casual drinker might not notice.
Yeah.
But
I've got to admit though, this is I should probably like, asterisk this with like it's small batch. It's like, you know, whether this even makes a shop, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
you say, this is just like you
Yeah,
say
I would-
what happens when you stumble into conversations and think, you know, you're sitting blathering away and you're by curiosity on the beer front, you know, and thinking, oh, do you have 2 cans that are the same? Oh, actually, we do. Oh, that would be quite an interesting. Any chance of trying? Like, oh, aye, cool. You know, like, you know, what's that? God loves a trier and all that. But you know, so whether this like whether it makes a shelf or is been done as a core bat, I again I have no I've got no horse in that race as such.
It's really
I don't
cool.
know, but
I've
for
just
me
mixed
it was
them.
just out of
Ooh.
curiosity. Exactly. Is that a combo?
Aye,
Mm.
I've just mixed them up.
It's the it just shows you the amount that yeast imparts on beer. Like you see single hop series all the time, which is obviously that's all we've changed where the yeast is the same throughout, and that's cool. So it's cool to do it with some other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I think it still looks and you can tell it's the same beer, whereas if you used a completely different, might not get the subtlety and a difference in malt bill, but it just shows you how much heavy lifting yeast does that it imparts so much of a difference in flavour, which is something as a despite being a seasoned tester, I've never tested that particular variance, and it's
that would
quite
be
cool.
that would be pretty cool. Like you said, there, Gil. Like if you get all these single hopsies, if somebody just did a yeast, it's like
I like a home and
series.
away, like a try of like what we're going to do is or that duration beer that I had earlier, that was their house. It would be good to try the same hop bill
That's what we should
using
do.
using a verdant yeast instead, or using an English ale yeast or something.
Next time you homebrew, Mark, that's what we need to do. Is make a batch, split it in 2, and put one yeast in one and one yeast in the other.
Yeah.
And do exactly the same to both. You know, same water, same malt, same hops, and 2 different yeasts, and see what happens.
That's a cool idea.
Pitch this.
It just seems like you said, everyone gets excited about these single hop stuff. Why not do the same with that? Like
The yeast
It
is
just,
so like. You remember speaking to Alex when we were down at the Beer Writers Guild who works for is it Lallement or whatever it was, and like, you know, you think you know things until you speak to people that actually
People
know
like that,
things,
yep.
and
Yeah.
you know the breakdown in flavors, the breakdown in proteins within the beer in terms of how the yeast works, the sugar content, the you know. You know the alpha acids that the certain yeast eat, and did all this mental. And I just remember thinking, like, I think I know beer, but this is just next level kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is. It's fascinating. And like you say, the curiosity in me was like, oh, I wonder if we can any chance of trying this stuff. Yeah, cool. And I think
Did you ask? Did it have any difference in getting to the finish, like getting to being the finished product?
no, I didn't. I
In
honestly
terms of
don't.
timing?
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't.
don't.
I wouldn't imagine so. I'd imagine it'd probably be
Yeah.
much of a muchness, but would be cool to see if there was any difference. Obviously, we know Kveik, as we said, it ferments very quickly and can cope pretty well.
Most
It just-
most
it
ale
seems
yeasts
most
kind
of
of
them are neutral. So
most ale yeasts kind of follow a similar.
It would have need to have
pattern.
finished, you know, with Canon and all the rest of it. It would have need to have finished within that. I'm saying within the 0.5, so it's going to finish a point or two, you know. And the thing is, like, we know this from brewing ourselves. You know, you do recipes and you want your beer to finish at 15. You wanted to finish at 20, but it finishes at 18 or it finishes at 21. Like so, it's part of the science of brewing, and as much as the professionals understand that better than we could ever, there is always an issue, and maybe not an issue is the right word, but there's always that, where does it finish? How long do we let it sit?
You can guarantee that these guys, the brewers at Williams Bros, will have known, at various points in the fermentation process, they'll have known, oh, that's not hitting the right gravity at the right time, or that yeast's overperforming, or yeah, we're down lower than we should be, or whatever. It'd be really interesting to see what we know that breweries have got a leeway of that sort of 0.5% either way. So, if a beer says it's 8.3%, it can be anything from 8.8 to 7.8%. That's actually in the can. So it'd be interesting to see if the Nottingham yeast beer is the same.
It will be under because of duty. It will be under because of duty. There's no way it's going to go over 8.4 because you pay duty on the gravity, not what's on the can.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean?
You've got to be honest with your gravity. You've not got that leeway.
Batch
you've not got that
brews
leeway.
the whole point is that it's audited.
Okay.
You pay it on.
So that's why the beer's 8.3% then.
8.3%, exactly.
Bingo.
Right. Okay.
Good stuff. I like it.
I've got to admit, this is I said this when I spoke to Cal the weekend that as well. I think the reason I wanted to do it was for two reasons: was to literally put the old taste bud hat on again and just taste it out. The other option, the other reason I really wanted to talk about it was because I know there's brewery pals and people out there that listen, and I honestly wanted it to be, let's try and do something around this. Can we? I don't know how cost effective it is, and if the brewery friends are like, Mark, you are talking up, so it's no way we can do it because of X, Y, and Z, and fine. But I find it such a cool concept that we put all this effort into hops, like you've mentioned, and what the flavors and all that kind of come off it. But the yeasts, like you say, they're so unique, and they add such a complexity to the beers that I think we should be shouting about it more.
If we're doing a test brew, if we're doing a small batch, 500 litres or whatever it is, wherever it is, the only thing we're asking for is an extra fermentation space. Rather than having one 500 litre fermenter, we've got two 250 litre fermenters instead.
The thing as well, I think as craft beer drinkers, as we would 100%, when we say craft beer wankers, we 100% put ourselves in that bracket, definitely. And I think craft beer lovers and people that really enjoy craft beer who deep dive into it, they've tried all the single hop stuff, so they'll have a good idea of what hop does what they expect, and what Citra do, what does El Duro do, etc. I think a different level to it, like we've said, is as soon as you start playing about the yeast,
this is the thing, mate. How many breweries have we seen doing single hop series, right? So if you get Howling Hops or Sure Shot do a single hop Nelson beer, right? And then you get, some other brewery, Verdant or whatever, do a single hop Nelson beer, but they use two different yeasts. This shows you that you can put whatever you want, hops and things like that in it. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're going to taste it, but it's going to completely change. The different yeast is going to completely change. Just because you're getting two single hop beers, they're not going to taste the same.
No.
Hops and yeast, that'd be a good one.
So I didn't want to put Mark on the spot too much, but the other thing that we were talking about at the weekend, do you want to talk about that, or is that
what you're going to ask me? But 58 minutes in, so if you ask it, Gav can cut it.
Right.
Noted.
The thing that we were talking about, sales, numbers.
Well, that's Nelson report stuff, so that's
public information,
relatively widely.
Right. So this is where I get my revenge on Gav. We're going to ask Gavin and Scott a question.
Before you do that, just to mention on the Williams Bros, the double joker, the chances of people getting hold of it and you're not going to get it. It's very unlikely.
This is it's a flash in a pan, fluky,
beer fridge only review.
Well, the chances are, if they've noticed it before the cans have been shipped, the cans weren't getting shipped because it's different.
It's a That's what happens when you're
If you ask the right person at the pub in Alloway, you might get one.
maybe.
Maybe.
Doubt it. No. I think it's
If you ask for the special double Joker line and you hear zip,
I want the ones with the on it.
Let me see if I can, before Cal asks this, let me see if I can find it so I can actually back it up.
Well, you
But
find
you're
it
gonna-
back up,
you're
and
gonna
I'll.
go to- you're going to go to a source, are you?
You get your source. Shout out to a friend at Stuart. Sent us some lovely care packages at start of the week, and one Dipodelic is just brilliant. Thoroughly enjoying it. I'm having it for the second time. In fact, fourth time. I'm drinking it right now. It's New Zealand NZ hopped double IPA Project 7 beer that they brewed with 71 Brewing. Wakaku hops, Pacific Sunrise, super delicate in there as well. So it's mangoes, passion fruit, absolute busting with all the fruits in there, and it's tasting delicious. Also, want to shout out Radical Road. I forgot how fucking good it was.
aye.
Completely
Excellent
forgot
beer.
for a
Classics never
6.2% supermarket Westie that it's actually a proper Westie that could beat plenty of breweries that do West Coast IPAs and they don't even
yeah.
hit the mark. And they're not; these are ones that are not in the supermarket. This is a supermarket beer. It is honestly, I completely forgot how good it was.
It packs the right punch. It's a real good homegrown version of that sort of style at a supermarket rate. Have that, and also because it's available in the same shop by Sierra Nevada at the same time, and you'll have an excellent night. 2 Sierra Nevadas, two of them for Stuart, and you're on to a great night of West Coast.
Genuinely, that was see when I had it. Was it Sunday night or last night? That was my thought. I was like, oh, I would love to sit and have Radical Road and Sierra Nevada side by side. Like, yes, like evidently Sierra Nevada's probably going to win. However, like it.
Is it though?
Well, I don't know. That's me just assuming.
It's just 2 different ABVs and 2 different styles, technically. But
Yeah.
they're from you can tell they're for the same roots, and you'll just have a
100%.
great night. You just have an
100%.
excellent night if you go.
So, yeah,
I mean,
think-
if you really want to go up on and hammer the 2, go to the Sierra Nevada UK web shop and get a couple of cans of Torpedo, and then
Club.
Yeah.
go to Cascade Club, get a couple of cans or bottles of Torpedo, or if they've still got it, get the Torpedo the showcase box that they do with all with the different bottles in it. And
Can he move for C's?
if you like West Coast style beer, that box will be absolutely incredible.
Choking on C's.
100%. Swimming in seas.
No,
That's it.
that's good to be the next one. Choking on seas.
That's
That's
it.
brilliant.
Thanks again, Lewis. And yeah, I promise I've not had any of the Project 7 beers that you sent out, so I'll do a wee video of one or both of those, and we'll stick it on the
That
socials.
no worthy your penmanship, fucking Captain Substack.
But they're not new. So what I'll do is I'll buy some of the new Project 7 stuff when it comes out. So watch your inboxes if you're subscribers to Stuart's mailing list. If not, then go and subscribe. And
Love to see somebody take on the Mississippi Mud Pie live, especially somebody that doesn't drink dark beer. I know you've been quaking on your beer fridge, Gav.
I've got 3 of them now. After the recent care package, I was like, fuck.
Me and Mark
It's
love
only
a mud pie. Maybe we can crack,
5.5%. Screw up your own and fucking
maybe we
drink.
can
no,
crack
I know.
the big shoe for the mud
The
pie.
big
Mark.
shoe.
Mate,
think
I'll
it's
get the
big
big
shoe?
shoe for the mud pie. We'll have to 2 can it though. That's the only way it'll go.
That's
But
just perfectly acceptable.
Big brown shoe.
and he knew for sure. The other thing is, if we're doing shout outs this week, I suppose I should do this too, because on Friday last week, I just so happened to swing by. I was in
Amazingly, here we
Dunblane of
go.
all places, and I just so happened to swing by a friend of the podcast's Sheep and Wolf's Clothing's new spot in Dunblane.
Matty.
Lovely. Yeah.
And Matty was kind enough to give me a bit of a tour of said space and kind of run rounds. I had a couple of people in. There's typical Mark. I showed up when he was in the midst of some and then tagged myself into a meeting and just kind of wandered around with him and that. But he did kindly give me a couple of beers to be shared with the gents, but which has obviously not made it round you guys as of yet. And whether it does, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see. But he gave us a wee cheeky 4-pack of the new Lumberjill IPA, or he got one of the Lumberjill. And actually, I'm on his web shop now, and I can't actually see. I think there's 2 beers that are unreleased that I got a hold of, and
Exclusives.
There was a cheeky lager in there, which none of you boys are going to see, and and a stout as well. And kind of showed us around. He's got a couple of barrels that he's looking to do some stuff. So obviously, his big is obviously big focus is about kind of sessionable beers, low ABV, and he likes to hit the 2.7 to 4.5% style beers. He does have a 10% IPA in a fermenter now, which the colour of it looked West. Dare I say, because it was one of the Fermzilla fermenters, so you could see.
Is that a wolf in Sheep and Wolf's Clothing?
That is the wolf is eating the sheep.
That's a werewolf.
That's a lion. That's a lion in fucking Sheep and Wolf's Clothing.
And he's got a couple of barrels, 3 rum barrels that he plans to do. And sorry, Matty, if I'm ruining your pitch, what's coming up, but he was.
It's an hour and 5 minutes in. Nobody's getting this far.
He was putting his dark lager into rum barrels, and then he was doing a stout in for his whiskey barrel as well. So
lovely.
Really cool spot. He opens his tap room like once a month and kind of showcases everything that he's all about, and then has a nice guest list of cans and stuff as well with, local favourites in there from Otherworld, Vault, and I don't know, there's a load of stuff in there to be fair. But if you're going there, I would hope that you would try some of his stuff draft wise. But just like you say, I feel like this week I managed to bump into loads of people and managed to stumble into loads of beer, and I was thinking, oh well, I make sure and shout them out this week on the podcast.
I'll work on it.
I've got one, Gav. I need to shout. As we spoke about you in Scott's Bruiser Box, I got Vibrant Forest. We had them on the podcast a few weeks back. Somebody can help me out with a name because as is typical with me, I've completely forgot.
What name are you looking for?
The chap that we spoke to from Vibrant Forest. I completely forgot his name, which is disgraceful.
Mr. Forest.
Yeah, or Mr. Vibrant. But while he was on, I picked out a beer on the web shop that I wanted to try. Partly because of the name, partly because of the beer. The beer was a Simcoe Pale Ale.
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks. And I've had a couple of decent Simcoe Pale Ales over the last sort of 18 months. It's a hop that I really enjoy. And this beer was called Fenton, with loads of dogs on the can from the the video that went viral a good number of years ago. But this beer appeared in my Bruiser Box this month, and it did not disappoint. I had it on Saturday night, and it was absolutely superb.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Are you quizzing us or you quizzing us?
Nope.
Roger Dodger. Yeah, that'll vanish. You got a shout as well?
Oh, 100%. Mine is purely for the craft beer aficionado. So I am sure, I'm just checking to make sure it's 10th year anniversary celebrations time for a little known brewery out of Barcelona called Garage.
Ooh, yes.
who are celebrating their 10-year anniversary, and Beer Merchants Tap, of all places, with the most difficult to work through shop in history. Although if you just sort by new, these will be right at the top. They've released a range of 4 beers for their birthday. You've got Zambo, Leo, Nawe, and Tony. Tony like Luca, rather than Tony Soprano. There we go. I did remember it. But there's, it's just IPA for days. Nothing. I don't think there's anything below 6%. Yes, 8, 7, 6, and 6.5. So you're in for a good. You're in for a good 4-pack if you put those together. With the exception, all under £7 can. So if your beer merchant's tapping it up.
He'll get Roy to piggyback on that. Garage will be at the These Hills Festival.
There you go.
Just saying. I've already got tickets.
Where is These Hills?
Beaks. Lewis. It's in Lewis.
So from Barcelona to Lewis.
Barcelona.
How could they possibly be disappointed?
I know.
They'll get to go and see the Lewis landmark, that house that was on Grand Designs about a decade ago.
Aye.
That was our only landmark we saw when we were there, other than Beak Brewing, of course, which is a must visit. The only other landmark that we were met with was that this house was on Grand Designs. We walked by it twice.
One reason I knew that is my father. My dad came down. He's like, because he's well into Grand Designs. He's like, I've seen that house before. Daft. He's like, oh, that's Grand Designs. Grand Designs. Oh, look at him. Like, aye, whatever.
Just while you're building your order, Mark, as well, I'm on the second row.
How did you know?
And I've already, just while you're building your order, Mark, I've also seen that Omnipoyo have got a Pilsner on there.
Already got it in the basket, Bean. Keep following that.
£3.31. Thank you.
I've got one in the basket that I thought, as soon as you said that there, and I was like, there's one here that is 100% getting split with old Gilroy. Can you see it?
It's not a Firestone Walker number, is it?
It is 100% that one, aye.
House is in motion, 11.4%. Thanks for coming.
No. It's the one underneath that. Next line down.
Oh. Tequila Barrel Sunrise. Oh, mate. Yes.
Oh, no.
11%.
I'll let you keep that one.
Basically, my goal this year is for Miguel to give me tequila lessons, because tequila and barley wine have the same effect on me, as in and obviously
I'll take you to Margaritaville. That's absolutely fine.
There's a few of my alcoholic conquests that I've got to break through. Tequila is one, and then wine is the next one. So I'm sort of
well, you can manage them.
Exactly. So it's baby steps. But so if
can I be involved in the wine?
Between Malbec, Miguel, and fucking Bordeaux Muir, there will be absolutely fine.
I'll leave you lot to that.
Right.
No, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was forgetting about tonic Baxter at the back.
No. I'm avoiding all that.
Council Juice Baxter. Get what I mean?
And avoiding all whiskies as well.
No.
No, I tried whiskey again on Friday night. Hopeless.
Whiskey for everyone.
Absolutely hopeless. Took me an hour and a half to get through one. My dad had 3 and was still drunk the next day morning.
He's a machine, though. Absolute machine.
He was effectively put back to his bed again. Saturday at 7:30. Quite funny.
As always, if you listen to the podcast, make sure to subscribe, hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling to be notified of every single episode. If you've watched on YouTube, where?
Namibia.
Aye, that was his random country. So he was
random
going to try and
country.
get
You did say that at the start. You did. Fucking retard.
Zanzibar.
Make sure to like, follow, and share if you've watched along on YouTube as well. You can show support, give us a 5-star rating, and show your official support by going to patreon.com/beer fridge podcasts. As I mentioned at the start, you can show your support for us doing the 10K, the hop run at the middle of the year. Link will be in the description with the Just Giving page. We're raising money for the Ann Rolling Centre. So head over there and give what you can and show your support. Much appreciated. Until next time, cheerio.
1, 2.
Oh, shit. Oh, pushing.
1, 2.